To order the Wheat Ridge City Council meeting of June 10, 2013. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the city clerk please take roll?
Joyce J. Joe DeMott.
Here.
Mike Stites.
Here.
Christy Davis.
Here.
Davis Reinhardt.
Here.
Tracy Langworthy.
Here.
Bud Starker.
Present.
And we've been informed that Mr. Pond will not be here tonight. He's otherwise occupied.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of May 13th, 2013?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion to approve, a second by Mr. Starker. Any changes to the minutes tonight? Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We have one proclamation tonight. It's the Wheat Ridge Reads. And I'd like to ask Diane Robb from the Cultural Commission to please step forward. So once a year, the Cultural Commission sponsors a book to read, and this proclamation talks about the one they're sponsoring this year. The proclamation, Wheat Ridge Reads, whereas the City of Wheat Ridge and the Jefferson County Public Library's Wheat Ridge Library have enjoyed a productive and collaborative relationship for more than 60 years, and whereas the Wheat Ridge Cultural Commission is once again sponsoring Wheat Ridge Reads, an innovative community-wide program designed to promote a culture of reading and bring the community together through a shared reading experience, and whereas the book selected for the summer of 2013 is Halfway to Heaven, and whereas the program represents a collaborative partnership between the Wheat Ridge Cultural Commission, the City of Wheat Ridge, Jefferson County Public Library, and the Wheat Ridge Library, and whereas we believe this program supports common values that contribute to success and prosperity of Wheat Ridge, include literacy, education, civic discourse, collaboration, and community. Now, therefore, on this 10th day of June 2013, I, Jerry DiTullio, Mayor of Wheat Ridge, together with the members of City Council, do hereby endorse and recommend this program to the entire Wheat Ridge community. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I want to thank you, Mayor DiTullio. The book this year that the Wheat Ridge Cultural Commission has chosen is Halfway to Heaven by Mark Obmasik. And it is a true story of a gentleman going through a midlife crisis, basically, that decides from a challenge of his teenage son to climb all the 14-footers here in Colorado. It's a very delightful, easy read that has a lot of interest, broad-based interest for the community. So I look forward to everyone picking up a copy, reading it, and the author has agreed to attend 2 different meetings with various people here with the Cultural Commission, and the city will be invited to these meetings to discuss the book and enjoy the book with the author. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move on to citizens' right to speak. Citizens' right to speak may speak on any matter that's not on the agenda for a matter of 3 minutes. Please step forward and please spell your last name for the record and state your city and/or your address.
Thank you. My name is Tara Jan, Jahn, and I'm at 3620 High Court. And I just wanted to give you, council, and the mayor a quick update on our Live Local. I don't know if any of you were at any of the spring activities. We had 3 potluck and film festivals that went really well. We had about 200 community members attend one or all of those. We did a winter fitness challenge that had 18 community members participate in a 12-week fitness program. And then we are continuing that movement into the summer, where we have summer yoga in the park starting. We have 3 this summer, going to be at Wheat Ridge 5-8. I just wanted to do an invitation to all of you and pass some flyers to you all and to any other community members who might be interested. They're free. They're provided by Santosha Yoga, and we're going to do them on Saturdays so we can try to get as many community members and families to participate. We also are starting our cruiser crawls again. Our Wheat Ridge cruiser crawls will be going up to restaurants and establishments on 38th Avenue. And possibly, who knows, maybe once West 29th opens, we'll be heading there for one of our cruiser crawls. As far as our Live Local Harvest, which was the food and film, we've had some great enthusiasm from community members to support urban agriculture. I've visited a few farms in Wheat Ridge that have gotten their LLCs to be doing urban agriculture within the city limits, which is just great. And I've personally met a lot of really cool community members who are excited about it. So I thank you for your support of both healthy eating and active living, and just encourage you to attend our events. And if you have ideas for events, please let us know, because all of what we do at Live Local Wheat Ridge is just an attempt to engage community members to better the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else here for public comment on any item that's not on the agenda? Thank you. We'll move on to approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to public hearings and ordinances on second reading. Item 1 is Resolution 20-2013 and Resolution 21-2013. I'm going to open the public hearing. Ms. J.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 20-2013 is a resolution approving a right-of-way vacation for an unused portion of Teller Street adjacent to 4175 Teller Street, and as well as resolution number 21-2013, a resolution approving a consolidation plat for property zoned residential to R2 located at 4175 Teller Street. An issue, the applicant is requesting approval of a right-of-way vacation for an unused portion of Teller Street adjacent to 4175 Teller Street. An association application has been filed for approval of a 3-lot consolidation plat. The purpose of this request is to enlarge an existing parcel with adjacent vacant property and the vacated right-of-way. While these are separate cases, they will be considered in the same council action form, but will require separate motions.
I need to swear everybody in tonight. This is quasi-judicial. Please stand and raise your right hand if you're here to speak on item number 1, A or B. Do you swear to tell the truth in this matter? Say I do, please. Thank you. We'll move on to the staff presentation. Please state your name and your position with the city.
Let's see if we've got... Is that...
Thank you.
Oh, here we go. Good evening. For the record, Meredith Reckert, Wheat Ridge Community Development Department. And I am here tonight to present case numbers WV 13-01 and MS 13-01. These are 2 requests for approval of a right-of-way vacation and then a consolidation plat for property zoned R2 at and adjacent to 4175 Teller Street. I'd like to enter into the record the subdivision regulations, the zoning ordinance, case file and packet materials, and the contents of this digital presentation. The property is within the city of Wheat Ridge, and all proper posting and notification requirements have been met. Therefore, council does have jurisdiction to review this evening. So the parcel in question is located at 4175 Teller Street and an adjacent parcel just to the south. Both are zoned R2. And just to give you a little bit of context, it's kind of an interesting area. You can see on the picture that the subject properties are designated with a green and a yellow arrow, with the associated right-of-way vacation shown with the blue arrow. To the southeast is Stevens Elementary, and then further south is Wheat Ridge Middle School with 38th Avenue at the very bottom of the screen. Surrounding properties are zoned R2 and consist of single and 2-family residential. So again, here is a photo of what this entails. The existing residence located here, you can see the house in the picture, and the adjacent vacant parcel that the owner has purchased to the south. And then over here, just on the, I guess that would be the east side of the property, is that little piece of right-of-way that's requested to be vacated. Again, the property is made up of 2 parcels located at the end of Teller. The northern parcel has the existing house on it that was built in 1952. The southern piece is vacant. And once those are consolidated, there will be about 21,000 square feet of land area, which far exceeds the R2 standards. Again, the portion that we're talking about that's being vacated is shown on this exhibit. It measures 20 feet by about 30 feet, 660 square feet. And it includes only the western side of the street. There's no associated right-of-way on the east side. It just dead ends into the school property. So again, this is a picture of the vacation exhibit. I would note that there's existing curb and gutter in front of the house, but those improvements stop at the north line of the vacation parcel. And there are no other public improvements on the other side either. And again, it dead ends right to the rear of the school property. So let's take a look at a few slides. This first image is looking south on Teller Street. The applicant's home is on the western side, which would be the right-hand side of the screen. You can see the gates to the school right here and where the street just sort of ends. So this is a closer view. Again, you can see the gate of the school, and then on the western side, or the right-hand side of the screen, is that vacant piece that the property owner owns, as well as the house parcel. Again, looking into the vacant parcel. This is a shot of the front of the house. There is existing curb and gutter that run in front of it, but it does stop just south of the southern property line of the home. So, and again, here's another close-up visit. You can see that gate location that we saw in the pictures, and then that's into the school property, and this is into the vacant lot. So when we look, let me back up a second, sorry about that. We do have evaluation criteria that we use when we have a right-of-way vacation request, and I'll just go through those quickly with the conclusions that we've drawn. The first conclusion is that the only land that's really going to be impacted are the rear fields of Wheat Ridge and Stevens Elementary. There is existing access, and the school district will still be able to get into the property and do the needed maintenance. We feel like it's really super unlikely that Teller Street would ever be extended. For one thing, it's an existing uneven piece of right-of-way, having some here but none on the school property. And in order for Teller Street to be extended to the south, there'd be about 9 houses we'd have to get right-of-way from to extend it all the way to 38th Avenue. Oh, and then there's Wheat Ridge Middle is in the way too. And then the final thing is that all utility and responding service agencies have indicated that they have no problems with the vacation. I would note that Wheat Ridge Sanitation has a manhole right about here, but even with the vacation, they think they've got enough room to get access to that manhole if they need to, and that's where the line dead ends. So that's the piece about the right-of-way. Let's talk about the plat. This is a 2-page plat, and I think, as you all know, I call this first page the declaration page. It's got legal descriptions and vicinity maps and appropriate notes related to the request. The second page is the actual consolidation portion of it. So I'll just walk through you quickly. This northern piece is where the existing house was that you saw in the pictures. This is the vacant piece down here. And then this is that little piece of 600 square feet of right-of-way that's being requested to be vacated, which will then be deeded to the owner if it's approved. I would note that the consolidated piece will be about 21,000 square feet in size. It would allow the owner to either expand the existing residence or perhaps add a second unit as zoned R2, and that's possible. And we have concluded that the proposed consolidation plat is in accordance with Article 4 of the Zoning and Development Code. All agencies expressed no problem, Jefferson County included. Again, Wheat Ridge Sanitation has a dead-end line and a manhole in Teller, but they believe they've got room for access. Wheat Ridge Fire can serve, Wheat Ridge Police can serve, and Public Works has indicated they have no objection to the proposed vacation, and they have reviewed and approved the plat. So we went to Planning Commission, public hearing on May 2nd. They did give a recommendation of approval with no conditions attached. And based on that, we are giving a recommendation of approval for both pieces of this request because for several reasons, there has been a proper public hearing with the required notifications that have been met. Planning Commission did give a recommendation of approval. The right-of-way vacation criteria have been met. The application is in accordance with Article 4, which is the subdivision regulations in Chapter 26. And finally, all requirements of Article 4 have been met. I guess I'm being a little bit redundant, aren't I? So we are giving a recommendation of approval, and I would be happy to answer questions.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comment, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
We'll move on to public comment on item number 1 and A and B. If you're here to speak on item 1A or B, please step forward to the podium and spell your last name for the record. Sir, are you here for actually this hearing or for the one that's coming up later in the month? You, sir? Yes.
I'm here for this hearing.
Okay. Do you want to say a few words?
Sure.
You had raised your hand and you were sworn to go ahead and testify. Is it,
I was unable to.
wait. Go ahead and spell your last name for the record. And
My last name is Horn, H-O-R-N. I live at 7175 West 42nd Avenue. It's the house on the northeast corner of Teller Street and 42nd Avenue, about 150 feet from the area that's in question right now.
thank you.
Okay, and I just have a couple of questions. One of them is, will access to the ball fields behind Wheat Ridge Elementary School, Stevens Elementary, still be accessible? And let's see if I can, so that foot traffic can continue from Teller Street into the area behind the school.
Well, go ahead and ask all your questions. We'll have somebody come up and speak for
So
you.
that's my first question. The second question has to do with what the planned use is. Has there been a planned use of the consolidated property, assuming the council approves this? And has there been any consideration of potential additional traffic? And I know that it's probably minor on Teller Street for the, assuming that this is approved.
Thank you.
Okay.
Meredith, do you want to answer those questions? Thank you.
Well, to answer this gentleman's questions, let's see if I can find the slide that I showed. Let's see. This is a close-up of a close.
Can someone turn the lights down? It's difficult to see.
Usually, Jesse. There we go. Is that better? Okay. So maybe you didn't see some of the slides I showed, but here is the back end of the school property. Here are the two pieces that the property owner has. And this is the piece being vacated. There's a gate right here. And
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you, if you're going to talk back and forth, you either have to come to the mic or just pay attention to what she's saying, please. It gets kind of hard to follow everybody. Thank you.
So, yes, there is access that will be maintained. The school district did respond to our referral, and they were fine with things. So that was the first question. The second question is...
The uses, possible
yes.
uses.
I'm not exactly sure what the property owner has in mind. He is in the audience, and perhaps he can shed some light a little bit more.
We'll have him
than
come up
myself.
after, yeah. And the third question was traffic. Was traffic considered on Teller? Increased traffic?
There shouldn't be any increase at all. It's a dead end, ends at the school property. Now, if this were added on to and perhaps turned into a two-family residence, there would be traffic from that, but it would be fairly nominal, probably 10 to 12 trips per day is all.
Thank you. Mr. Sorrentino, did you want to step forward and make a presentation as the applicant? And please spell your last name for the record. Mr. Sorrentino, I need to swear you in because you didn't stand up earlier. Do you swear to tell the truth in this matter?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Raleigh Sorrentino, spelled S as in Sam, O-R-R-E-N-T-I-N-O. I live at 4175 Teller Street, and I'm the applicant.
Did you want to answer the question about what possible uses you were looking at doing on your property, or?
Well, my intent is not to put a duplex there. My intent is to extend the house to the south. It's a ranch house. It would be basically extended similar to a ranch house. It may have a basement or a second story, but at this time I don't have plans on that. But that was my intent in purchasing this property. I've already applied to the county for consolidation for tax purposes. This has been done several years ago. To answer Mr. Horn's question, the vacation is only half of the width of the street. I don't know how to operate this, Meredith, but if you show me how to point up on the screen.
You have to use the mouse.
This mouse here?
Yeah.
If they want to dim the lights again, maybe I could point this out. Actually, right about there is a survey monument, which is in the middle of Teller Street. And it's the corner line of the school property. So the school property runs north to there and then comes from the east right to there. This vacated property is only west of that over here. And so that's right in the middle of the street. So you have half the street here that's still open, that's entirely access to the school property there. Their fence runs diagonal like this, but they own that property right to there. And there is a personnel gate there and a vehicle gate there for access. This portion right here doesn't really affect that at all.
Okay.
So if that answers that question, if there's any more questions, I'd entertain them as best I can.
We'll come back, possibly. Thank you. So we'll move on to council discussion. Any questions or comments from council? Well, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. A motion's in order.
I'm pretty comfortable with this. I move to recommend approval of case number WV-1301, a request for approval of a vacation of an unused portion of Teller Street right-of-way adjacent to 4175 Teller Street for the following reasons. Number one, it is unlikely that the street will be extended south. Number two, the vacation evaluation criteria have been met. Number three, all responding agencies have indicated no concerns. And on the consolidation plot, and I'll read both and we'll vote. Do we vote
Oh, no,
separately?
one motion at a time.
So we'll vote on that one.
Parliamentary procedure would require us to vote on each one
Thank you,
separately.
right.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item number 1A, seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. Discussion on item 1A. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
And on the consolidation plat, I move to recommend approval of case number MS-13-01, a request for approval of a consolidation plat for property zoned R2 located at 4175 Teller Street for the following reasons. All requirements of Article 4 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws have been met. All requirements of the R2 Zone District regulations have been met. And number three, all responding agencies have indicated no concern.
Right here. I think you should. Are you reading off of the page 3?
And then 5, yes.
Consolidated plat. And there's some conditions on the back, 1 through 4. Mr. Starker's not seeing those.
Oh, they're on page 5. Moving on.
I think she's reading from the Planning Commission minutes.
Oh, actually, the motion.
need to read from
Oh,
the
I saw that. There was some in the front.
Yeah, actually go to page 3 of your packet for that
Council
item
action
number
form.
1. Yeah, let's start over again. So, okay, so on page 3, it says council action form, recommended motions. Here, Joyce, I'll give you these. See where it says recommended motions? Okay, let's start over again with first motion. Sorry, Janelle.
Oh, we have to vote again?
Yeah, because he didn't say I moved to approve. Go ahead and start with number 1 first.
Which is a right-of-way vacation.
Right-of-way vacation.
I move to approve resolution number 20-2013, a resolution approving a request, case number WV 13-01, for approval of a vacation of an unused portion of Teller Street right-of-way adjacent to 4175 Teller Street for the following reasons. Number 1, City Council has conducted a proper public hearing meeting. All public notice requirements as required by Section 26-109 and 26-407 of the Code of Laws. Number 2, the requested vacation has been reviewed by the Planning Commission, which has forwarded its recommendation. Number 3, the request meets the evaluation criteria for a right-of-way vacation specified by Section 118 of Chapter 26 of the Code of Laws.
Second.
Second. Okay, now we have a motion to approve from the right-of-way vacation, second by Mr. Reinhardt. Discussion on that motion? Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Now we'll go on the consolidation plat.
Under Consolidation Plat, I move to approve Resolution Number 21-2013, a resolution approving a request for approval of a Consolidation Plat, case number MS-13-01, for property zoned R2 located at 4175 Teller Street for the following reasons. Number 1, City Council has conducted a proper public hearing meeting. All public notice requirements as required by Section 26-109 and 26-407 of the Code of Laws. Number 2, the requested subdivision has been reviewed by the Planning Commission, which has forwarded its recommendations. Number 3, the subdivision plat has been found in compliance with Article 4 of Chapter 26 of the Code of Laws. And number 4, all requirements of Article 4 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws have been met.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve the consolidated plat. It was seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. Discussion on the consolidation. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you and thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Sorrentino. We'll see you at Pietro's. All right. Item number 2 is Council Bill 08-2013. I'm going to open the public hearing. Mr. Starker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to introduce item number 2. This is Council Bill number 08-2013, an ordinance amending the penalties for violating sections 1203 and 1208 of the Model Traffic Code for Colorado as adopted by the city concerning the parking of major vehicles and parking privileges for persons with disabilities, respectively, and making conforming amendments to Section 13-2 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws. At issue in this matter is the following. In August 2012, the City Council adopted the 2010 edition of the Model Traffic Code, MTC, for Colorado by reference and made certain local amendments to the MTC. Among the local amendments made by the city were tiered fine schedules for violations of 2 MTC sections, MTC Section 1203, Major Motor Vehicles, and 1206, Parking Privileges for Persons with Disabilities. This ordinance eliminates the tiered fine schedule and imposes fines of $150 for violation of Section 1203, Major Motor Vehicles, and $300 for violations of Section 1208, Parking Privileges for Persons with Disabilities.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please assign an ordinance number?
I don't have one.
You want to guess?
No, I don't.
Well, how about if we go on and you come back later?
I can. Oh, because he saves things for. I thought about this. It's like resolution. I don't need an ordinance number.
All right, so we're going to continue on. We'll come back for the ordinance number. We have a staff presentation.
A very short one, so it's not going to give the clerk very much time, I'm afraid. Council, you've seen this in study session, and as council's aware, the tiered system that was in place for major motor vehicles and in particular for the handicap parking violations had a number of administrative difficulties in terms of being able to actually apply it. And some real cost involved if we were to go out and set up the systems necessary to apply that tiered system. Council saw this in study session and agreed that the tiered system wasn't effectively working. We aren't getting very many of these violations in any event. And what council ended up doing, I think on first reading, was to hike the number, the single number then for the disability parking to $300, leaving the $150 fine for the major motor vehicles. So this would then become just another traditional ticket, easier for the officers to write. They don't have to figure out whether or not there's been a prior violation, something that, as council's aware, was difficult for them to know when they're out on the street actually writing a ticket.
Thank you.
That's the report. Yep.
Move on to council discussion or questions. Is there any?
I guess, the original staff presentation suggested a lower fine. My recollection, although it's not in the report, was that we started at $150 and that was more consistent with other communities. And I guess when we had the discussion, we allowed for the possibility, Mr. Dahl, that tonight if we wanted to propose an alternate fine structure that we could do so, and I was just hoping for guidance on how to make that. Is that a motion to change or does it come in the motion for passing the bill?
It would seem to me the easier thing to do is, you've got a motion already, I think, and seconded. No?
We're in public
no motion.
hearing,
Oh,
so
right,
he could
sorry.
make an amendment after the main motion.
Yeah, you could, I think the most straightforward would be to wait till the main motion's made and then make a motion to amend the fine number or schedule for whichever or both that you chose to whatever number.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Shaver?
Let's try ordinance number 1535.
1535? I can tell council that I think the addition of the $300 for parking in a handicap spot was fair, especially for handicapped people who are not able to park in those spots. If council amends it, takes out the $300, I will have to veto this ordinance as if it's amended and it passes with a lower fee than $300. I think it's the right thing to do for the community. And I'd rather be a leader than a follower. Any other questions or comments before we close the public hearing? Close the public hearing, a motion's in order.
I move to approve Council Bill number 08-2013, an ordinance amending the penalties for violating sections 1203 and 1208 of the Model Traffic Code for Colorado as adopted by the city, concerning the parking of major vehicles and parking privileges for persons with disabilities, respectively, and making conforming amendments to section 13-2 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws on second reading, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve, a second by Mr. Stites. Amendments?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the ordinance to change the fine for the disabled parking to $150.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Please poll the council on the amendment for Mr. Stites.
Yeah, I had said during the study session and stuff, if it was up to me, I'd charge $1,000. But I think $300 is fair. I think it's, once again, pretty schmucky that somebody parks in a handicapped space, and I think they need to know it and they need to pay for it. So I'm going to vote against it because I think $300 is just right.
Ms. Langworthy?
Well, I agree that parking in the handicap spot is awful. The $300 for this is a higher percentage than some of the worst crimes that we have happening in the city. So when you look at your total fine schedule, we're punishing people more for parking there than maybe we might be punishing for robbery, or, well, not robbery, but some of the, some, maybe an assault or something. I mean, Chief, can you address that? Because my understanding is this disproportionately large compared to the other fines.
I can address part of it, and Kirsten Armstrong from the courts is here, and she can probably give you a better overall view of the court's fine schedule. Council will recall in the staff report that was presented, 6 weeks ago, that a lot of the research that had been done by the courts and the PD revealed that the $150 for handicap parking was at the upper end of what other jurisdictions around us were charging, and seemed to be in alignment with the fine schedule that other jurisdictions were using. In regards to the municipal court fines, I mean, municipal court has the authority, and Mr. Dahl can comment on this right now, to find upwards of $1,000 for various violations that are either criminal or violations of the model traffic code. And this certainly would be higher than the fines that are allotted for other violations. I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. And I'll turn it over to Kirsten to speak to how the fines are currently done by the courts, and what her observation or perception on those are.
Yes, as I provided the survey of the parking, the $300 fine was very high and not comparable with our surrounding jurisdictions. If you compare it to a traffic infraction, a 4-point violation would be charged $120. So a 4-point violation would be not a careless driving, that's an offense. But failing to stop at a stop sign would be a 4-point violation. That would be $120, to give you a comparison. That would be somebody that had no violations in the last 24 months. So to kind of compare that, the council can set this fine amount at any amount that they so choose. However, the higher the fine amount, the more chance that you're going to have parties coming into court to fight the violation. And then the concern or the challenge for the court is utilizing court time and staff time for a parking offense that perhaps a lower fine would just be paid, and they would take their accountability by payment of the fine.
May I ask a specific question? Do you happen to know off the top of your head what the fine would be for speeding in 10 miles an hour in a school zone?
Those are doubled, so that would be $240, again, with the no violations within the last 24 months.
Thank you.
So the amendment was for $150, back to what we discussed earlier. Any other questions or comments on the amendment?
It seems that higher fines, even at our rates, are for more dangerous situation rather than the egregious, I believe is the word, for parking in a handicap zone. And your commentary about the court, I think, is valuable. Court time and fighting the ticket. So,
Please poll the council.
Motion carries 5-2 with council members Demott and Stites voting no.
Thank you, and you will have my veto message tomorrow morning, Mr. Dahl. I'll send that on to you for the council. Thank you.
Main motion? That was the amendment, right?
That was the amendment. So main motion, please pull the council on the main motion.
Didn't I? I didn't. It's still up there. Thank you. It's not a good night. Okay. The main motion carries 6-1 with Mr. Stites voting no.
Okay, now you'll have your veto tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Okay, let's see, we'll move on to decisions, resolutions, and motions. Item 3 is Resolution 16-2013. Ms. Langworthy?
16 or 18?
18, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 18-2013, a resolution amending the fiscal year 2013 general fund budget to reflect the approval of a supplemental budget appropriation for the purpose of funding the Seniors Resource Center circulator bus service in the amount of $30,000. At issue, the Senior Resource Center operates a successful circulator bus service through Wheat Ridge to provide an additional transportation option for Wheat Ridge seniors. A request has been made to the city by the SRC, the Senior Resource Center, to provide funding in the amount of $30,000 to continue the bus service at its existing level, or $42,000 to expand the service. Motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to approve resolution number 18-2013, amending the fiscal year 2013 general fund budget to reflect the approval of a supplemental budget appropriation for the purpose of funding the Senior Resource Center circulator bus services in the amount of $30,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion to approve resolution number 18-2013, seconded by Mr. Starker. Mr. Stites?
I'd like to make an amendment to bump that up to the $42,000 because I think it's needed, and I think the expanded service would really help out a lot. I think there's an awful lot of people today that are not driving, and especially seniors, so I'd like to bump it up to the $42,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to amend to up to $42,000 for the senior circulator bus. Discussion on the amendment.
Is
Mr. Starker?
is this currently in the budget for the city?
No.
No, this action is, the 30,000 is for a budget supplemental, so it'd be taking the money for the reserves. So if you bump it up to 42, the complete 42 would come from the reserves.
Ms. Langworthy?
I was just gonna, I'm all supportive of the 30,000. I think that at the presentation, they explained that their ridership's been down a little bit, but it kind of, it ebbs and tides, and at this point, they're in a down. So I'm comfortable with the 30,000 to keep the service going. I don't want to, I'm more than happy to say yes to 42,000, but I'd prefer keeping it in a realistic goal right now. And when the services start peaking again, then reconsider a higher amount.
I'm sorry, as a procedural matter, do we have a motion?
Yes, we had a main motion.
Main motion, and then
We have
there
an
was Mike's
amendment now.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
So we're debating the amendment.
We're debating the amendment. Thank you very much.
And I think the discussion was by the Senior Resource Center that they were going to add the service to the town center apartments as soon as they were full. Mr. Demott?
Yeah, we did talk about this in the study session. They did request the extra money. The money that was budgeted, the 30,000, was done, obviously, as you would have done, and we put into our budget in October, November, when our budget was written for last year.
It's not included in this year's budget.
The 30,000 isn't?
The 30,000 is a supplemental budget appropriation, so that means the monies would come from the reserves.
But we've done it in the past.
Well, what's our normal yearly? It's around 30, isn't it? Always 30? Last few years?
We've given 83,000 since 2008. It was different every year. Our last contribution was made it was made for a multiple year contribution. So we didn't make a contribution last year. We did in 2011, I believe, or 10 actually.
I was under the impression we did this every year. It started in 2008.
We provided funding to provide services through 2008, but the funding hasn't been done on an annual basis.
Well, CDBG kicked in $60,000 for 2 years in the past. Ms. Langworthy?
That's what I was just going to mention. That does the 83,000, is that including the CDBG, or is that just our individual? Okay.
That's the total amount the city's given either through general funds or other grants.
CDBGs. Okay. So the amount that the city's getting is actually less than 30,000 a year, because we've been lucky to get some CDBG grants that have funded it for about 3 years, 3 or 4 years, I think.
Well, I would support the 42,000 because I know Senior Resource Center funds have been cut, and if they didn't get the CDBG money, I would support the 42,000 as opposed to the 30.
Ms. Langworth, I think one of the things that they did mention that night of the study session was that they were going to expand service to the town center apartments.
Yeah, but my understanding is actually that the town center is going to fund their own, because I've spoken with the town center, and so the Senior Resource Center may go over there, but the funding for that won't come out of Senior Resource Center. It's going to come out of the town center. At least that was my understanding when I last spoke with them.
Any other discussions on the amendment for, was it $12,000 more? $12,000 more? Ms. Davis?
I guess I just have a question on if we need to find out if the town center is included or not, because that might make a difference, at least in my thoughts. But it does also sound like the 30,000 is for a 1-year time frame is significant compared to what we've done, 83,000 over since 2008. So it is a significant amount, but I'm just wondering if, the Senior Resource Centers has talked to the town center and it might change their overall plans and budgets. Just a thought.
I'm sorry, Mr. Goff, could you help me with the math? What has been the average general fund contribution over those years to this point then? It seems like it's in the, go give it, you have it in front of me, I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, and I don't either, I'm
I'd
sorry.
say about-
It's that, I just have the total was 83,000, so it's about a 20-some thousand.
For all four.
Every year, but again, some of those funds were CDBG funds, some were general fund.
So the 30 is already roughly a 50% increase over prior years.
And I believe they may have requested larger amounts in the past, but at those times, council chose to give a certain amount. I don't think, we're not funding the program fully. This was just a contribution towards the program. So 30,000 was their request to continue the current services and 42 to expand those.
We could always choose to engage this topic again as part of the budget cycle if we still chose to.
Well, the Senior Resource Center had mentioned they had already been servicing the city of Wheat Ridge and they hadn't been funded for last year because the CDBG is always late. So they got $60,000 for 2 years from the Community Development Block Program.
And I believe that was through the end of 2011, correct?
Yeah, so they've been actually funding the circular bus since the end of 2011, so we're a year behind. But they've been still keeping the program solvent.
I guess my only question is the 42,000 was to expand services, it sounds like. And if expanding services is the town center, and the town center might have their own bus system, then, to me, it'd be nice to clarify that, because then perhaps the 30,000 would support the Senior Resource Center. And I'd just hate to duplicate services if we have a group already doing that.
Mayor?
Ms. J.
It seems to me there's several things that are obscure here. One is the expansion of the town center, which you just discussed, plus the fact how much CDBG you could take away from the total as far as what we contributed. And number 3, when the person was here from the Senior Resource Center, the number of riders was an obscure amount. We did not have a good feeling about that. Mind you, I personally think that the bus is absolutely wonderful and an essential part of senior living, because we do want to keep the seniors in their homes, and that's a part of it. But I think that we have to be prudent.
My understanding, I wasn't, not a perfect memory, but my understanding was the expansion was going to just be more stops. And I don't know that it was specifically to town center, just more stops, because they're getting more, so maybe the Highland West and Highland South, maybe they only have 2 days a week now, but they could use a third day. So expansion isn't necessarily into the town center, but it's just more dates for those people that are already being serviced. Again, I'm okay with it. I just want to, I want it to be successful, so.
Well, I guess you won't know until you fund it.
No, not that part of it, just the amount.
Well, we have an amendment for $12,000 more. Do you want to poll the council on the amendment? Joe did. Joe seconded it.
Okay, so we're voting on the amendment now?
The amendment for 12,000.
Okay.
The motion fails 4-3 with council members Davis, Starker, Jay, and Reinhardt voting no.
So we have the main motion still to vote on. So please pull the council on the main motion as unamended. Clear the board, please.
Just a minute. Now you can vote. The main motion passes 7-0.
So move on to item number 4. Ms. Davis?
Thank you. Motion to approve payment of the sales tax increment for April of fiscal year 2013 from the Town Center project in the amount of $40,505.55 to the Wheat Ridge Urban Renewal Authority. The April 2013 sales tax increment for the Wheat Ridge Town Center project due to Renewal Wheat Ridge is $40,505.55. Expenditures over $35,000 require city council approval. The 2013 budget includes a total of $400,000 for the sales tax increment share back with the Wheat Ridge Urban Renewal Authority. Motion in order?
A motion's in order.
I move to approve payment of the sales tax increment for April of fiscal year 2013 from the Town Center project in the amount of $40,505.55 to the Wheat Ridge Urban Renewal Authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve item number 4. It was seconded by Ms. Langworthy. Discussion on item 4. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item 5 is a motion to award RSFB 13-20. Joe Demott. Mr. Demott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to award RFB 13-20 asphalt patch truck to Berg Camp Incorporated of Salina, Kansas, partnering with McCandless Truck Center LLC of Aurora, Colorado for a total cost of $138,769. The current patch truck has exceeded its useful life and is scheduled and budgeted for replacement in 2013. On Tuesday, May 28th, bids for RFB 1320 asphalt patch truck were due and open. 4 bids were received. 2 of those met the bid qualifications and 2 were deemed non-responsive. The apparent low, fully responsive bidder is Berg Camp Incorporated of Salina, Kansas, partnering with McCandless Truck Center LLC of Aurora, Colorado, respectively. Bid price is $138,769. Is motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to award RFB 13-20 asphalt patch truck to Berg Camp Incorporated of Salina, Kansas, partnering with McCandless Truck Center LLC of Aurora, Colorado, for a total cost of $138,769.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve item number 5. It was seconded by Mr. Starker. Discussion on the main motion.
May I ask a quick question?
Ms. Davis?
Thank you. I'm just wondering, on the bids, when you look at the bids, about almost all the way at the bottom, the warranty information on the one, if you look at truck cab and chassis, it says 2 years on the bid that we didn't take, but then it says provided on the other one. Do we know the warranty?
We require a 1-year warranty in our specification, so they provided the required warranty.
So their warranty's 1 year and the other bid was 2 years?
Yes, they offered a 2-year warranty on their,
and unlimited mileage.
yes.
And it looks like the pothole patcher was the same. So we're getting just a 1 year less warranty?
Just on the truck itself.
Okay, you don't see a problem with that?
No, it
All right.
isn't driven that much.
Any other questions or comments on item 5? Please poll the council.
Motion carries 6-1 with Councilmember Stites voting no.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda for this evening. We'll move on to city manager's matters.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item this evening. I'm pleased to notify City Council that the City of Wheat Ridge has received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award this year from the Government Finance Officers Association. So I'd like to thank staff for their hard work in putting a budget together and meeting those standards and requirements of our National Finance Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dahl. City attorneys?
One quick update. As council may know, the municipal judge's contract runs for 2 years and is renewable by the council. The particular contract at issue is Judge Randall's contract. We only have one municipal judge. And that contract expires at the end of this month. I've been in touch with the judge, as I always am, as he reaches the appropriate time. He's been our judge since I think 2002, and asked him to prepare materials to get to the council in the event he wants to be reappointed, and obviously does. And he will be presenting some materials, and what I'm expecting is that he'll be offering to meet with the council in study session, if you like, prior to your action. In some past years, we've actually managed to renew the contract after it expired. That's not the favored way of doing things, so I would like to be able to put the contract renewal on the council's agenda for 2 weeks from tonight. With that in mind, it might be helpful for me to get a reaction from the council whether you would be interested in seeing the judge. You know, over the years, the councils have on occasion wanted to actually have a chance, not so much to really decide are we going to renew or not, but just your chance to hear from the judge and find out what's new at the court and just hear from him what his experience has been the last couple of years. The only time really to do that would be at the study session a week from tonight, or just as a part of the public meeting on the 24th. If neither of those work and you really do want to meet with the judge before you act, then I will tell you that it's not the end of the world to allow this to go a month or two, and I'm sure the judge will be happy to continue to do the work on a month-to-month basis until you do act. But I'm sorry to lay this on you, but I just actually had an interchange with the judge this afternoon in which it was clear to him that he wanted to offer the opportunity. You don't have to take up that opportunity. You can say, no, that's fine, just send us your stuff and we'll act on the 24th. That's fine too.
Well, for myself, I think it would be educational to hear the judge, and not only with respect to employment contract matters, but just how the court is functioning. And I think it'd be educational, and would appreciate that opportunity.
I did tell the judge there were a couple of new council members that probably would appreciate hearing a little bit about the working of the court. It will, I think, impress you that the court deals with the wide range of things that it does, and Kirsten mentioned a few of them. But I'm reminded each time I speak with the judge that the range of things, we think, okay, it's traffic and a few things, but it's a lot more than that. Is there time on the study session to slot in 20 minutes or so to hear from the judge?
Yeah, we can make time, I believe, on the 17th. That's okay with you, Mayor Pro Tem?
You know, for myself, I wouldn't necessarily need to see him again, but I did get a lot out of seeing him once, and for those who haven't, I think it'd be a good thing.
Very good.
Here comes the judge.
If there are no strenuous objections to that, I don't think we have to vote on it. I will communicate to the judge to be ready to make himself available and to have whatever memo he wants to present to you available prior to that meeting. Thank you.
City clerk's matters?
I don't have anything tonight.
Thank Thanks. Mr. Starker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one item. We had a District 1 meeting last Friday night at Ewell Firehouse on Depew Street. We had good attendance, and I want to thank all of the people who came by and listened to some of the great things that are going on in our district. So I appreciate your participation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reinhardt?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Ms. Davis?
This is a little out of date because we didn't have a meeting over the holiday and then we had a study session, but I would like to congratulate the Wheat Ridge High School graduates, the class of 2013. As a fellow alumni, I'd like to congratulate them. I actually had the privilege and honor of attending their ceremony, and on a personal note, also saw the 6th generation of our family graduate from Wheat Ridge. So congratulations to the graduates, and I also thought it was really neat that throughout the whole ceremony they kept on talking about farmers and bringing it back to the farm and all that kind of stuff. So congratulations on that.
Thanks. Ms. Jay?
I have a couple things. We have a wonderful program in Wheat Ridge that Councilmember Davis and I attended, and I know the mayor intended to, was not well, which was to go to the wonderful summer food service program for the children. There's 4 schools doing this program, and they give them, and it's for ages 3 to 17, and all ages are there. And what they do is they come to the Healing Waters Church and the middle school and Color Strand and Holy Cross, and they get both breakfast and lunch, plus a program, an activity, which is a wonderful socializing time for them. It helps the parents out. This is free, provided funding by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Colorado, Hunger Free Colorado. So I just think that's a wonderful program. And number 2, I want to announce the garden tour, which is this weekend. And it's the 3rd annual Wheat Ridge Garden Tour, June 15th, 9 a.m. to 3, 9 gardens. And it's a variety of wonderful collections of gardens featuring both traditional flowers and vegetables. And there's this wonderful lunch that's going to be provided by Pietra's. So that's part of it. It's $15 to get in, and I hope you all attend because those gardeners have really, really been throwing the weeds out and bringing the flowers in, and it's worth seeing.
Mr. Stites?
Oh, yeah, to start off with, just an observation as you drive around town. Look at how many dumpsters, big dumpsters, are out, and that's a good sign because I think that means people are redoing their landscaping, remodeling their homes, adding on, and they're investing in Wheat Ridge, and I think that's a fantastic thing. As always, it's a great time to relocate your home or business to Wheat Ridge. If you need any help, let us know, or staff. Positive thing, there's a lot of weeds out there. We need to get these weeds. Work on your own property, see if your neighbors need help. Nothing that says you can't help someone out. And as always, please try to find it and buy it in Wheat Ridge. Thank you.
Ms. Langworthy?
Thank you, Mayor. Couple things. First, this Friday, June the 14th, they do a produce fair over at the Living Waters church as well. It runs from, 9 to about 11. You go in, they have booths with information, and then you receive a portion of fresh vegetables and fruits to take home. It's open to everyone, and they are at 6475 West 29th Avenue. It's the second Fridays of June, July, and August. So it's a wonderful way to get some fresh fruits and veggies if you don't have access to those. Our next Meet the Artist series is June 20th. At Kevin Robb Studios at 7001 West 35th Avenue, and it's going to feature Patty Parkhurst, which is a fine metal work. She does fine metal work. I want to say, and then I want to say one comment about the Council Bill 08-2013 about the model traffic code. I understand and honor your right to veto it. But for me, it's a challenge to hear that a ticket for someone speeding in a school zone costs less than a handicap parking ticket, or people running stoplights cost less than a handicap parking ticket. Because to me, that means that somebody's doing that is risking someone's physical life by running stop signs, and I've seen it happen, been hit by them. So for me, I have a hard time saying to charge more to the person who parks illegally than the person who can hurt someone.
Mr. Demott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to echo Ms. Jay's invitation to the Wheat Ridge Garden Tour. Should be a good time, and I will see you around lunchtime if you're going to be there. Thank you very much. I also want to wish a happy Father's Day to all the fellow fathers out there.
So I wanted to address Ms. Langworthy's comments in a positive way. There's two ways you could address this, Ms. Langworthy. You could take it as a negative and say we don't want to charge people who intentionally park in handicap spots $300 because someone who's speeding is getting less. Or you could say, yes, I agree that we should penalize folks who park in handicap spots illegally, and we should raise our fees on speeders. We've already raised speeders' fines and fees in school zones. $240, as Kirsten said, and maybe the fees need to be looked at all the way across the board, because what frustrates me is when council says, well, the other cities don't do it, so why should we? But that was the same argument on 38th Avenue. Other cities don't do it, but why don't we? And for someone to say, well, we shouldn't have a $300 fine because nobody else does it, well, why don't we have to be why can't we be a leader in that for a change and say, you know what, we're gonna take this seriously, that people are parking in a handicapped spot illegally. We're gonna enforce it. We're gonna let people know about it. If they're innocent, if they're proven not guilty in the court, they won't get to fine the $300. But I just think, what frustrates me is we're supposed to spend taxpayer money on taxpayers. We just basically told the seniors they don't matter tonight for $12,000 more, and now you're saying that handicapped people being abused by someone taking their spot is also doesn't really matter anymore, because we're going to be quote-unquote prudent or fiscally conservative. I mean, if we're going to talk about amenities for our community, then we have to talk about amenities for the community and spend the money where the money belongs, on the taxpayers. Now, that's my opinion on it, and I will veto it because I think it's the right thing to do for that situation. I'm not worried about speeding, or if you want to address those issues and say they should have bigger fines for speeding, I agree. Double it. So, it's my time to speak. It's elected officials matters.
I just didn't know if we could respond back.
You can respond all you want. I'm just responding back to Ms. Langworthy's comment. And I don't want to veto this because it's going to put staff behind on the MTC. But, there was no compromise tonight. $300 was killed. No one said $240, $250, $210, $120, whatever it takes. Sounds like Mr. Mom. Why didn't someone say, okay, it's $240 for speeding in a school zone? We'll make it $240. That would have been fair. But, we have to just follow along with every other city and do whatever other city does until that excuse works for something else. A lot of other cities haven't done a 38th Avenue, and you've heard that from citizens complaining about it, but we're trying something innovative and new, and I understand that. But it has to go both ways when you're going to use that argument. It's just frustrating, that's all it is.
I didn't actually use that as my point.
No, I'm just using it
I
as
know, but I did not use that point. To me, I have a moral issue saying that, and it's not that I don't support people who, there's people who need to be able to park, and I get that. But to me, we just did raises on our prices. To have a ticket for a parking violation being more than a potential loss of life just is something that it's not having anything to do with what other cities do or don't do. It has to do with, my daughter goes to school. I see people speed all the time. There's never a cop there. If they're taking their time to deal with parking tickets instead of saving a child in front of my school's life, I have an issue with that.
Ms. Langworthy, you always bring up your daughter as a reason for your public policy, and I understand that. But I see 4 kids at Wheat Ridge High School who are in wheelchairs, and when they try to go to a store or they try to go to a shopping center and they can't park there because someone's parking in that spot, that's a problem.
I don't disagree.
So,
but I don't
I'm
disagree.
done. I don't want to argue with that anymore. And I know Mr. David, everybody's getting antsy because I'm speaking my mind, so I won't say no more. So, any other comments or questions before we close out? This is elected officials matter, so we're adjourned.